Hi, welcome back to Behind the Gloss. Today, I have an amazing guest. She is the founder and CEO of Leo Management. It's the one and only Scarlett Bruns. Hi, Scarlett. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, of course. Okay, you are so amazing. I know I already introduced you as like the founder and like CEO of Leo Management, but you've also done so much just within the entertainment industry. So the first question is, how did you get started in the entertainment industry? Like, what was that journey?
Yeah, so I started as an actor. So as a child, um I started in theater, if you will, just like community theater, school theater. And then I guess the bug really hit me when we went to kind of like an all-inclusive resort, but for skiing, like learning how to ski, because I grew up in Germany. Or I didn't grow up there, I grew up in Canada, but I was born in Germany. And so we went on vacation and they had a like a kids club. And part of that was at the end of the week you did a musical theater performance. So I played Speedy Gonzales in Speedy Gonzales, and then I kind of after that there was no turning back. So I really enjoyed that.
Wow, that's so cool. And then because like Leo management is for, finding talent, like you're an agent to stars and Hollywood and the entertainment industry. So that's great that you were actually an actress in the industry that you're
Yeah.
helping people pursue. So yeah, like how did that prepare you to, be a talent agent?
Well, I think for me becoming an agent wasn't really um like I didn't plan it. It kind of just happened. So I was pursuing acting up until I was in my mid 20s or early 20s, and then I kind of the longer I acted, the more I became curious about the different aspects of the film industry. So I worked at casting for a while. I had my own casting company. I did that for 5 years, and then I worked on film sets just as crew. So I started out as a PA, and then sort of specialized in art department, and then I wrote some scripts and produced some stuff. So I kind of dabbled in a bunch of different areas, and um, I kind of gotten to the point where I hated auditioning more than I loved being on set. So it was just, yeah, I just the audition process just wasn't really for me. So I really enjoyed acting, and sort of writing and producing my own projects that I acted in. But I wasn't really interested so much in going out and auditioning and pursuing those kinds of projects. And then, with having sort of the background of the different parts of the industry, I was like, how can I sort of take all of the things that I've learned and apply them to help actors? But I don't want to act. So what do I do? And then I started working at a talent agency, and it was actually completely separate like thought train that got me there. My younger sister models and had a hard time finding an agent here in Vancouver because they all said she wasn't skinny enough. Mind you, she was 6 feet tall and like 100 pounds soaking wet. But just bone structure wise, she wasn't skinny enough for them. And I felt really protective over her and just sort of her friends. Um, and so I was like, you know what, I'll just find an agency and become a modeling agent and essentially protect my little sister. So that's how I started out working for a talent agency. I developed their modeling roster from the ground up. They didn't have one before I started there. And then after a few years of that, I had decided that I did want to rep actors as well. Just I had a lot of friends that acted that were like, "Oh, you're an agent. Can you rep me for acting as well?" And so I had to get like my license for that, and then it's quite a process getting onto the different platforms for casting. Um, so you have to get approved, and you have to have reference letters from casting directors and all kinds of stuff to get on there. So that took a little while to sort of get all those things together. And then in my contract with that agency, I also had a 1 year clause that I couldn't work for another agency or start my own agency after leaving that agency. So I had to I had to wait for that year to end. So in the first year of Leo Management, it was actually a management company. So we helped actors and models get O1 visas, and I helped like coach actors. help models with, their runway walk. I worked really closely together with Vancouver Fashion Week with their models, and so I kind of found a way to keep myself busy and in the industry in that year that I had to wait for that contract clause. And then after a year was over, then I was able to kind of go full force with the acting side of it.
That is so amazing, and I really
Yeah.
love that story because my takeaways were, 1, you just have an amazingly talented family, great genes, like an actress, a model, K-Flex, and 2, like, your heart is in it. I just love how you took, like, a crappy situation and turned it into something great, and now you're helping so many people, and then, yeah, 3, just that, like, perseverance that you had, like, yeah, you had this class that you couldn't work. I feel like most people, including myself, probably would have been like, "Oh, well, it's over. I guess this is what it meant to be." So, yeah, thank you for just being like a person to create something to inspire people to keep going and that, even if you get no's or get redirected, like it's completely fine because I'm trying to tell myself that. So it's nice to see it like
Well, I feel like
actually.
if you get a no or you get rejected, it just sort of pushing you towards, what's meant for you. I always tell my actors, like, don't stress if you're not booking. If there's a role that is meant for you, you will book it.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
like it'll happen. So, and I,
Easy.
I think part of it too is, having been an actor and auditioned for things that I really, really wanted and didn't book, after being a few years removed from it, like in the moment, I was like, "Oh, that person's not a good fit for this role. It should have been me or whatever," right? But there was one specific one that I can remember, The Secret Circle, which was a TV show that filmed for one season in Vancouver, and I loved that book series as a teenager. And I auditioned for a character that had my physical description. So she had like strawberry blonde hair, she had freckles, she was chubby, she has blue eyes, like it just fit me. And I got an audition for it. And I was like, okay, I'm getting this role. Like it's gonna happen. And then it went to a girl that uh was super skinny, a model, like almost like dark brown hair, almost black hair. And I was just like, that is like that's not what the character's supposed to be in the books. And I was bitter about for the longest time because I got into the stage where I screen tested for it. So it was like between me and her and maybe one other person. And and yeah, it was just like it was heartbreaking to not get it, especially because I was so invested in the book series and I loved it so much. But then, once the show came out, I watched it and I was like, the show's good, she's fine, whatever. But then several years down, I was like, she encapsulated that character so much better than I ever could have. Like, the role was 100% her based on how she performed it and her personality. And I think a lot of actors forget that it's not always about the way you look, it's your essence as a performer and whether or not that is what casting is looking for. Um, Even more so, of course, with a book series.
Mm,
Right. So, if you're comparing the book and the way she performed the role, she is the perfect fit. Not visually, but from a
okay.
character standpoint and her character's essence. So,
No. And that's quite refreshing to hear because outside looking into Hollywood, I am like, "Oh, do I have to be skinny, pale, and blonde hair and blue eyes to make it to be anything more than a side character?" But I like that you're like, "No, as long as you can embody it, like, that's okay." And even, like, talking about that because you were a kid in the industry, like,
mhm.
we hear about so many kids now or, like, they're grown up now talking about being in the industry at a young age. A lot of them didn't like it and have issues and drug problems, like, did you have a similar experience, or how were you able to escape that?
I think, I mean, partially, I think that comes depending on what level of success you have.
Mm,
So, I think for a lot of kids, like the schedule is just it's crazy. Like a child shouldn't be working the hours that they work if they're the lead on a show. Like it's, you know,
pretty
I mean, as much as I'm an agent and I want the kids that I
right.
rep to succeed and book, I'm always like, it'd be really great to have a series regular, maybe not a lead. Like
Mm,
I'll still submit for it because I know that's their goal, but um whenever I have kids that book something significant, I always sit down with the parents. I'm like, look, make sure that they're still having sleepovers and like going out and getting dirty. And I know in your contract it says don't do any high risk activities where you're gonna like
Um,
break your arm or whatever, but like a kid needs to be a kid, right? So they need to be able to go play on the monkey bars and do whatever. So I think part of that too is that my parents were really big advocates for that and kept me really grounded. And I try to carry that through with the kids that I work with. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I think it's who you surround yourself with, and also it's information, right? I think power is knowledge, and
Mhm.
or knowledge is power, and there's just a lot of things um that happen very quickly if you find success, whether it's as a child or as an adult. And it's hard to navigate that if it's not something that you're familiar with, or you don't have somebody that you personally know that has been through that. Um, Everything from, like the contracts and what they mean and how long you're locked into a project for, and,
Mhm.
like all those little intricacies that come with that. It's a lot for kids, and for
Yeah.
adults too, but it's a lot. So I try to um, prepare people for that adequately.
I
So
know.
they're getting
Can you?
themselves into.
I know, like, can you actually prepare for it? Like, I know you're saying you warn them, but again,
I
you
mean, there's
wouldn't think
elements of
yeah.
it that you can't. I mean, you
Mhm.
can never prepare yourself properly for the first time that you get recognized at a mall and get mobbed by a bunch of people because they just are obsessed with you. Like you can't. There's no way um to prepare yourself for that, and how you as an individual will react. For some people that's exciting, for other people that is terrifying,
Mhm.
right? And it depends on the child and the parent. And I think the most important thing for a parent to remember is you're not there to live vicariously through your child. You're there to protect your child. So that means that sometimes the parent has to be the bad guy and say, "Sorry, we can't take any pictures right now." Because
Mhm.
if your child is panicking because there are a million people like crowding them, you as a parent, you can't be like, "Oh my god, this is amazing. They're recognizing you." You have to be like, "No, we need to step away.
Yeah.
This is, you know."
No, I think you were preaching to me because, like, I have this podcast, and obviously I wanted to be successful and, like, go into the industry. And I thought that I wanted, like, the fame and the fortune and the success, but then I'm kind of like, "Wait, hold on. Are we ready for that? Is that what we really want? Is that why we are getting into this?" And it's like, "No, sit down. Like, why are we doing this?" And it's like, no, I want to do this podcast because I want to talk to people and I want to inspire others and give them like a new perspective. And even going in the industry, I want, little Black girls to see me with like my natural hair and like
Mhm.
do roles. And I'm even like, okay, let me play a character that's in STEM to show like that representation. I think that's
Yeah.
more important. And even for me, like redefining what success is. And yeah, like I wish I was a child star, like, when I was younger, that was my dream.
Yeah.
Thank God I didn't get that because it's like, "Oh, where would I be?" Because, yeah, I think now I'm just kind of, like, trying to focus on what it is that I wanna do and how I wanna have an impact on the world, and, yeah, I'm like, "I'll take the fortune, y'all can keep the fame, like,
Yeah. I
don't
mean,
mob me."
I think the fame, it can be a good thing if use your platform, for things that mean a lot to you.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think it's the people that do really well being famous, in my experience, are the ones that you don't think would do well. So the people that are really quiet, and like the kids, like the kids that stay home and they want to play video games. They do the best because that keeps them grounded. They're not out always at every party wanting to socialize. It's like, "Hey, do you wanna go to this event party?" And they're like, no, I'd rather stay home and hang out with my dog and play video games." The ones that are like, "Yeah, party, let's go." Those are the ones that end up getting into trouble usually. Um,
Okay.
so a lot of the time when I'm interviewing families to work with, and kids, I'm like, "So what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? If this was presented to you, would you wanna go?" And, um yeah, the kids that are sort of quieter, more low key, and the parents that don't really care too much, like they're there to support their child. but they like the parents themselves don't really care
Okay,
about it.
good.
Those are the families I prefer to work with.
No, I like that, and I also like that you can sense it to again, like, guide people in the right way, and I'm
Yeah.
really happy you used the word quiet. It's just a situation, I'm trying to get over it, but someone was kind of calling me quiet, and I felt, like, in a negative way, and then I was like, "Oh," I'm like, "Do I have to be loud?" And, like yeah, I think I'm more naturally shy and would likes to stay home, and I feel like people are like, "Oh, you need to get out there, you need to do stuff," and I'm like, I don't want to."
I mean, a
But
lot of people say that networking is a really big part of the industry, and it is. Some of it is who you know for sure, in terms of getting opportunities. But you're not going to book a role and be right for a role because you went to a party or a networking event. You're going to be right for the role because of who you are as a person. And that's not going to change because you decide to go to this party and hand out a business card. You might make some connections that can help point you in the right direction and guide you and whatnot. But um, at the end of the day, the the parties and the glamour are not going to enhance your acting or your performance. And that's at the end of the day, if you're a good actor, you will book. It might take a little while longer for some people to get their foot in the door. Um, but if you suck, you suck. And if you're good, you're good. And eventually casting will take notice.
yeah, well, what do they say? Good things come to those who wait,
It's true.
but, like, kind of the opposite in the sense of and I think it's even in the news now, like, some people may get blacklisted. So, like, they are talented, but maybe they didn't party with the right people or didn't, like, kiss people's
Yeah.
derrieres, and they so, I mean, in your experience, is Hollywood or this industry, is it really small?
Yes and no. I think in Vancouver, the industry is quite small and most people know each other. Um, and then if once you kind of break into LA, you do kind of get to know each other, but I think you get to know each other within your certain area. You don't get to know
Mm,
everybody necessarily. So, for example, I've had actors that got no one visa and moved to LA to audition there, and they get to know sort of their circle of people that look like them and that audition for the same kinds of roles, but they certainly don't go to a party and know half the people there.
okay.
So I think it kind of depends, but again, also depends on again, are you pursuing that social side of it? That
Mm.
networking side of it. If you are, you're gonna get to know more people. Um, I'm a pretty outgoing and social person, but I hate events because I hate the pretentiousness of them. I think they're so fake. I think that was one thing that I hated doing was like events or red carpet when I was working on a project because I always found people would come and be like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And they want to ask you all these questions about your project, which is great, but it wasn't in many cases, it wasn't genuine. I specifically remember, one incident where someone had come up to me and had asked about my project that was in development at the time, and they knew that I was producing and casting it, and it was really obvious to me that they just wanted a role. But,
Oh,
they're asking, "Oh, how are you?" And like, all these things and, referencing, like, I'd never met this person before, and they're like, "Oh, how was your dog?" And, like, just because they saw it on Instagram or whatever, and I'm like, "This is so weird." And then, halfway through me talking about a project that I was really interested in, that wasn't my own project, a different project, they would interrupt me and be like, "Well, I'm working on," and I'm like, "Why are you asking?" Like, if you wanna come up to me and be like, "Hey, I'm really interested in working with you on this project you're developing," or, "Hey, I'm working on this really amazing project and I wanna tell you about it." Great, but don't pretend to be interested in what's going on with me only to interrupt me to tell me about yourself. That's not genuine. So,
yeah. No,
yeah, like, I call bullshit on that kind of stuff a lot because I hate the fake aspect of the industry.
okay. I hate it too. I'm not even in the industry yet, but I hate it, and I find it kind of funny because I feel like genu or the general audience, sorry, don't know where my brain went. The general audience can see, like, genuineness and fakeness because, again, you
100%.
just see people when they do their apology videos, some people are like, "No, you're you're just apologizing because you got caught," like, you don't care, so I just always find it
Yeah.
kind of funny when people are being fake in your face, it's like, I know what you want, like, it's okay, you can just say it, but
Yeah. And I
it
mean, I
happens.
think part of that too is maybe growing up, in a German household that we're a little more
Mm.
direct.
Oh,
There's not as much like, casual pleasantries as there are maybe in like North American culture. Um, so I mean I don't mind them. I feel that it serves me well, but I think there's a lot of people who are like, "Oh, she's really intense." And I'm like, "I'm really not. I just don't want you to be fake."
oh, and I love that. So, again, I would think that that would make you a great boss. Like you said, you had your casting networks company, and now you have Leo Management, so, yeah, I guess the question is just kind of like how like, what have you learned about yourself since becoming a CEO? And I imagine more people are trying to kiss your derriere to, like, get things,
Yeah,
you know?
so just to clarify, I didn't work with casting networks, I just had a casting company, so I
Oh,
would cast
sorry.
directors. No, 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 that's okay, I just wanted to make sure that there's no no confusion there. So I worked as a casting director with my own company, I didn't work for casting
Yeah.
networks, which is a platform that that helps cast actors and facilitates
Mm,
breakdowns.
thank you.
But in terms of what I've learned, I mean, I've definitely learned that not everyone has the best intentions and to kind of protect myself a little bit. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that just see you as a stepping stone. Um I when I work with actors or other industry professionals, um I typically don't work with people that I don't want to work with long term. So if I sign somebody, I'm like, okay, I want to work with you for the remainder of your career and the remainder of my career. But some actors are like, "Well, I didn't get into the agency that I really wanted, so maybe I'll sign with this agency, or I'll try this one out for a few months, and if it doesn't work, I'll switch to somewhere else." But I think most agents in Vancouver, at least the ones that I know, are quite selective with who they sign. And if they sign someone, it's because they believe with them and they want to work with that person long term. And there's definitely actors that are known for agency hopping,
Mm,
and I've had it, over the years where, um, an agent will blast out an email to all the other agents in town and be like, "Hey, I worked with this person, this and this happened. Just wanted to give you a heads up. They're not the greatest person to work with." And that as an actor can really screw you over because if you like all the agents, like we don't have a group chat, but there's certainly email chains where we're all in on and have all communicated on. So, um, I think on that end of the spectrum, the industry is quite small. But that's
mhm,
something I think you kind of have to learn because when I first started out, like when my first actor left my agency, I was like a mess for a month. It was like heartbreaking because it's very much a relationship, right? Like there's a certain level of trust there. And um, for me as an agent, or for any agent, we are looking at your headshot and your resume and your demo tapes and all your materials every single day, multiple times when we're submitting you for roles. As an actor, you see your agent, whenever you have a meeting or whenever you come to pick up a paycheck or, and obviously naturally you're closer with some actors than others.
mm,
But as an actor, you don't see your agent that often, but your agent looks at your face every single day. So I always feel like I feel so much more strongly and I'm so much more attached to my actors than they are to me, just because I feel like I see them every day. I hear them talk every day because I'm watching their video clips and everything. So I just think um it's a little bit of a skewed perspective for agents just because I think we get really closely attached to our
mm.
clients.
Yeah.
But then when someone leaves, it's heartbreaking because you put in so much work. And I remember I had one actor that was with me for a number of years and they booked a few small roles and I was like, I know this actor is like so close to getting something huge. And then they left and went to a big agency and then like a month later they booked something really big and I was like, I know that they would have booked that regardless of which agency they were with because they had done the legwork. They had done the training and they had all the bookings leading up to it. And every agency has access to the same breakdowns. It's not like you switch to this agency and all of a sudden there's 25 additional TV shows that you can audition for. You could like every agent has the same access. Um, so that was really heartbreaking because I was like, I've put in, 5 years of work waiting for, the big
Mm,
like this big booking that I would have wanted to celebrate with them. And obviously also, yes, financially, it's a big payday because you're putting in, if an actor isn't booking large roles, you're putting in a ton of work every single day for pennies. Like hourly wage is pennies for talent agents until their client books something big. So that is always a little bit of a gut punch if something like that happens. But then on the other hand, sometimes people leave and then they don't do well. And I've had actors leave and then come back a few years later and
oh,
ask to work with me again, which, I always take as a compliment. So it's but that's I think the biggest thing I've learned is just to sort of protect myself a little bit because I do get very, very invested in the relationships I have with my clients, and it can be, heartbreaking sometimes the industry for actors and for agents, but I think for anyone involved in it. And yeah, I think I've it's definitely changed me a little bit for sure, and just how I pursue the talent that I represent. And I probably interview a little bit more carefully and get like a better sense of the person, how long they've been in the industry, how many agencies have they been with, why did they leave, that kind of thing. Whereas before I was like, oh, well, we're starting a new relationship. I don't need to know about this past relationship that you've had with another agent. Whereas now I want that information. And if an actor tells me, I was with this agency, I'll call that agency. I'll be like, hey, how was your experience working with this actor? What terms did you leave on? Did you drop them? Did they leave you? Was everything amicable? Because that's important information for me because I think that indicates how my relationship with that actor could go in the future. And I don't do that with every actor, but if I have a little bit of a hesitation,
mm,
then I'll do a little bit of background research.
wow, like, I can only imagine how hard it is to be an agent because it sounds like you're the middleman, and
Mhm.
but, like,
Very much so.
does anyone like the middleman? Because sometimes you're the bearer of bad news, and it's don't shoot the messenger. I'm just and like you said, you're working so hard, but I guess it's so behind the scenes that not a lot of people can see
Absolutely, it is,
appreciate
and I
that.
think a lot of it too is that we like, as agents, we can't get you a job. We facilitate the audition process, and we
Mm,
can, you know, champion you and push for you and advocate for you, but at the end of the day, we can't book you the job, and I find that a lot of actors think, "Oh, I have an agent now, the hard part is over." It's like, no, 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 this is where the hard part begins. This is where you have to start
mm,
really working hard so that you can, utilize your agent to the best of your ability to help, get your foot in the door and book those projects. But um if you're not doing the legwork, then
yeah.
having the best agent in the world isn't going to help you. I mean, as agents, we get 15% commission, right? In
5?
Canada. 1 5. So you should, as an actor, you should be doing 85% of the work,
Mm,
right? However, if I talk to most actors, I'm working on your career every single day. Are you working on it every day? Probably not. Most actors go to class once a week. Some of them don't even go once a week. One of them do a workshop every 3 months. So you're working on your acting career for a weekend every 3 months, and when you have an audition, because you're putting in the work to prepare for it. I'm working on it every single day. So why am I getting 15% and you're getting 85%? Right? Like, so I mean, that's sort of how I pose it to my actors because I want them to work hard because at the end of the day, I think the reason people succeed is because they work hard. Yes, natural talent is a big part of it, but hard work will get you further than talent.
mm, okay, good. Because sometimes I worry, I'm like, "Am I talented?" But it's okay because as long as I work hard, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. But wow, like, I'm just blown away, and I feel like you can even also tell your actors, like, you've been an actor, you were, doing the casting, directing, and producing, so it's like almost every part of the industry, so, definitely take your advice, like, the least you can do, but, that's their problem, I guess, so I'm glad you learned, like, not to take it personally, which
Yeah.
is, just really hard, I think, for any, like, industry or anything that you're doing, especially when you are the founder of it. So again, while you're working on everyone's career, you created this, and, like, once you make something, it doesn't just stop, like,
Yeah.
you're working every day. So I guess how do you kind of balance, like, being a talent agent, but also being the founder of the talent agency?
Well, I mean, we've changed, like the agency has changed over the years. So I've
Mm,
had, times in my career and the agency's lifetime, if you will, where we had 5 agents working and we were all working together. I've had times where I was the only person working, and I've had times where I just had, an assistant or something like that. So it kind of um it changes and it's fluid with what's happening in the industry, what my needs are for support as, a business owner. Um and I think it just I I'm fortunate that being self-employed and owning the company, I can adjust it to what my needs are. So for example, during COVID when when
mm,
nothing was filming and we didn't know how long, um, our lease for our office was up. So I canceled our lease and I got an office that just did like virtual services. So
mm.
we had like a receptionist that we paid, a front desk person that we paid, and they were, answering the phones and that kind of thing. But I didn't have the expense of paying rent for an office, for example. Um, and that worked really well for me. And I decided, we're going to keep it that way. And thank God I did because then the strike happened
Oh, yeah.
last year, right? So um, it just, yeah, it's nice being able to kind of adjust it to my needs, so I don't find that I'm doing too much of a balancing act. I mean, obviously, if you're just an agent, your responsibility is, submitting your talent, um, working together with them and developing their career, negotiating contracts and that kind of thing. On the business end of it, as an agency owner, um, I do my own bookkeeping, for example. So I have someone that files my taxes, but I do my own bookkeeping. I do all of my own accounting. So all the back end work I do myself. So that, can keep me busy. I'm very fortunate that my mom also runs a business and is a whiz with numbers and accounting. So she helps me a lot. And um, my best friend's mom is she's a CPA, so a chartered professional accountant. So she's always just a phone call away for advice. So I have a really good support system. So I don't feel that it takes up too much time.
Okay.
But also it's because I choose to keep Leo smaller. I don't want to have 10 agents working at Leo because I'm a little bit of a control freak. I like to know exactly what's going on. I don't like it when I have an agent working at Leo and I don't have not control over everything that they do, but I'm not aware of everything they
Mm,
do because I have had situations in the past where we've had complaints from, actually not from clients, but just from other people in the industry about an agent that worked at
mm.
Leo. And then, but some of the things that were happening, I didn't know were happening, and some of them were even, it was like a personal situation that then
Just no.
someone that they had, personal issues with decided to leave us, like the company, a Google review about this personal issue that they had with this agent. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So it just, yeah, I try to keep it small, because I want to know what's going on, and I don't want anyone to be represented by Leo and not have them experience Leo the way that I intended, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and
I don't want them to get like a false idea of what the company stands for because of someone that I work with where I don't know what they're saying or what they're doing. So I'm very, very protective of the company and our image and try to kind of keep it small and close to home.
that sounds good. I think you're doing a good job. Again, I don't know much about the industry, but to me, this is what I would want, like, in a talent agency or in, an agent, because it's like you've been in different aspects of the industry. You have a clear vision of what you want your business to be. how you want your actors and your talent to feel. So yeah, it
Yeah,
just seems like a good environment, and as they say, it always starts at the top, so, yeah, I
it's
think
very
you said
true.
yeah, you're supposed to, like, cut off a branch of a tree, like, if it's not growing fruit or producing fruit, so it's
Yeah,
kinda, "Alright, bye," like, again, it's just nature, it's just business.
yeah,
I wish you well, but, yeah, I imagine that probably took some time for you to learn and, like, develop those skills. Because is it
yeah,
hard to
for
say
sure. I mean,
yeah.
when I first started, I wanted to have a big agency. I wanted to have, like 20 agents and rep 10,000 actors, whatever, like big numbers, because I was like, big numbers mean big revenue, but big numbers also mean big headache.
Mm,
I learned. So my vision for the company and the company's future changed a lot, especially in the first 5 years. It was a big learning curve. So um, yeah, but now I think keep your head down, do the work. That's sort of
mm,
the important thing for me. I don't want to. I don't need to talk about all the things that we're doing while we're doing them. I'd rather wait for the success at the end of it, and then I don't need to share all
okay.
my tips and tricks and what I choose to do with my clients and how I choose to build the relationships. I don't think is really something I want to advertise,
Mm,
because I think there's value in privacy and value in having, your, I don't know, trade secrets, if you will. I think every agent has a different way of doing things, um and like you were saying, as an actor, you'd be looking for, someone that does something the way I do it. There's lots of actors that may feel that I am too personal with my clients.
mm,
Some actors might want a strictly professional relationship.
mm,
For me, my actors know they can text me 24/7, and
mm,
I'll answer. And I've had actors come over to my house to self tape if their reader canceled on them or whatever, like 10 p.m. on a Thursday night. Come on over, we're self taping because we have to get this audition done.
mm,
So my relationship with them is different than maybe other agents would choose to have their relationships with their clients. But I also have a relatively small roster, where some agents have massive rosters. I mean, the agency that I was represented by when I was acting, I think my agent had like 250 actors, which I don't even know how. Like now as an agent, I'm like, I don't know how you got anything done all day.
yeah. Oh my
Um,
gosh.
but yeah, I think every agent has a different style of working. And as an actor, you have to find one that works for you, and that might take a little time. You might not get it right the first time, but I think at the end of the day, you need to find someone that you click with and that you trust.
Okay.
Both ways. Like I need to find actors that I feel I click with and that I trust, but the actor also has to trust me. And
Mm,
I like when I'm interviewing someone, I'm looking for conversation to flow easily, right? If
okay.
it's kind of very stilted and awkward, sometimes it progresses and it gets better, but um I want someone that's open and communicative and eager.
Okay. I mean, that sounds good, but I've also heard someone say, like, you have to do this with the therapist. And, if you want a relationship, and I'm like, yo, this is too much. I'm just trying to live life and be happy. And now I have to keep finding all these people. But like you said before, if you're not willing to put in the work,
Yeah.
you're
I
not going to get anything.
I feel in some ways a lot of people take the industry too seriously. Um, I think I mean, not in terms of like going and taking class and doing the work, but just they take themselves too seriously within the industry. And I'm like, trust me, there's a million other people. You're not that special. Get over it. Just, you know, like it just, some
Okay.
people get an inflated head really, really fast. Um, you have your first booking and all of a sudden you think you're hot shit. And then it's just, um,
You're not.
there's a lot of people in the industry and a lot of people that work extremely hard and do fantastic work. And um, I think it's important not to burn any bridges and,
Mm,
be there because you love the industry. Don't be there because you're chasing fame and fortune.
Well, that's really good. And you're speaking to me because, like I said, I had to check myself and be like, okay, why are we doing this? Or like, why do we want to do this? Is it for the paycheck? Which, again, I heard can be nice, but it's like, you know what? I've been broke before. I'm broke now. I'm still happy. So
Well, I mean, they
it's
don't
fine.
say starving actor for no reason, but I mean the pay is nice, but you have to remember that you're not working every day for that pay, right? So if you're starting out as an actor, you might have one booking a year.
Mm.
So for that one booking, if it's an actor role, you're making $1,000.
That you still have to pay taxes on at the end
You still have
of
to pay
the
taxes on it. You still have to pay 15% in commission to your agent. You still have to pay a permit fee to the union. And if you're already part of the union, then there's union deductions. So you're walking away with maybe 70%, 50 to 70% of what you're earning. That's
Okay.
$500 or $700 for a day, let's say. Um, so if you work one day in a year for $700, yes, your day rate is great, but you've only made $700 in that year as
Okay.
an actor, right? So it kind of it balances out. I would say most actors um, need to have a side gig. And some actors are fortunate that their side gig is part of the industry. So, they coach other actors or they work as, production assistants on a film set or whatever it might be. But I think for most people, they work at a bank or they work at Starbucks or wherever they have normal careers.
Ooh, what we do for the craft, because I know for me, even kind of taking the leap to really start the podcast and try to really make it something was a bit scary. And for you, because you were already in the industry, but did it feel still like a leap to take the helm and like start your own talent agency?
Um, not really, but I think it was just I would I'm very confident in myself, probably to a fault, that I don't really second guess things. I'm just like, I'm gonna do this. So I remember when I was sitting at home and I was just with my mom and my sister. I'm like, I'm gonna start my own agency. And they're like, oh, okay, what are you gonna call it? I'm like, I don't know, Leo management. Like, and there was no thought process behind it. We just did it. I was like, I'm gonna I went online and I'm like, register business, done. Okay. Like there was zero planning, which probably like I don't recommend anyone do it the way I did it. I was fortunate it worked out, but um, but like there was zero planning. I just kind of decided like I woke up one day and decided to do it and I did it that day.
Wow.
So, but I mean, I'm really fortunate that I've always had an amazing support system in my family. Both my parents are business owners and entrepreneurs, so I mean, I think I definitely learned a lot watching them
Mm,
like while I was growing up and sort of how they handled their business and how they're go-getters. So I think
mm,
that definitely transferred to me. I mean, my parents own a construction company, but they also like my mom's a photographer. My dad used to be a DJ. My sister models. She's also a professional photographer. Like everyone kind of has their own business and thing that they do on the side. And um, sometimes it took a while for that to become the main income stream, but that didn't stop you from doing it. You still went for it, and so I think that rubbed off on me for sure.
Cool. I love that, but because they were, like, business owners, did they have any hesitation or kind of caution you? Because again, when you go to a job, you can get a check every 2 weeks, that 9 to 5, it's stable.
Yeah.
And then a business owner, like you said, "Oh, I don't know when this check is coming, and I don't know how much it's gonna be." So did they caution you against starting your own?
No, it was the opposite. They were like, it's way better to own your own business. Do it. I worked when I started Leo, or before I started Leo, I worked at a financial institution. So I worked at a bank for 8 years. And I started off as a teller just on Saturdays, and which was in grade 12 I started. And then I worked my way up to manager of customer relations. And I I hated every minute of it. I was so miserable. I left because I literally was like, I cannot function. I couldn't fall asleep at night because I dreaded going to work so much. And I was like, I need to have a job where I don't hate life because like it paid really well. It was an amazing job. It had great benefits, but I was just so miserable that I was like, I can't, like,
Oh,
I'm gonna die.
no. I can relate to that because I had the 9 to 5, and I was so proud. I call it, like, my big girl job because I was salary, and
Yeah.
but, yeah, it was just like, I'm in a cubicle staring at these gray walls, like, what is life? And See, I kind of felt like I kept hearing, like, a calling or, like, every time I watched TV, like, my heart was just, like, pulling. I'm like, "I need to
Mhm.
be there." So, yeah, I was kinda like, "Well, I'm
Yeah,
only gonna get older, just
it was the
take the
same
leap."
thing for me, and I mean, I started working there when, it was 2006, and minimum wage was, like, I don't know, $8 maybe, and
Yeah.
I remember my salary when I started, which was my training wage, was $11.22 an hour. Minimum wage was, like, 7 or $8, so I was like, "Oh my god," straight out of
Yeah.
high school, right? So I was super excited,
Wow.
and, and then I kept getting raises. In my 2nd year, I went up to $15.69. So I was just like, "Okay, this pays really well." And before my probation, like, they had a 6-month probation, before my probation was over, they already had me training new hires. So I was really good at it, but it was kind of like just sucked the soul out of me. I didn't enjoy it. And then the longer I stayed within within that company, the more it bothered me, sort of what the things that they did, and I was like, "This is kind of you shouldn't treat your customers this way," and sort of the corporate policies and the politics behind
Mhm.
it just really rubbed me the wrong way, so then I once I had more strongly formed opinions about the company I was working for, the harder it became to
Mm.
work there and enjoy my work. Whereas at first I went into it naive. I was like, "It's a great place to work. They pay really well. Customers seem happy." But, once you kind of see inside the belly of the beast, if you will, it kind of changed my perspective a little bit, and, it just wasn't a place I wanted to work or where I wanted to support what they were doing. And
Yeah.
that's I mean, it sounds silly because obviously people need financial institutions and there's tons of them, and I
Yeah.
worked at one, it doesn't mean they're all the same, but I just, like it just really turned me off of them. I'm like, "Ah, I don't wanna invest with the bank, I need to find something else, like, this is not I don't like
Yeah.
this. I don't
I
trust them."
understand, and I think I
Yeah,
had something similar, but again, outside looking in, everything I know about, like, Hollywood and the entertainment industry is from TV, so it
right.
can be biased, but it doesn't seem good, and, they call it Holly weird, and so again, I'm like, "Do I want to go in this industry, or should I just focus on YouTube?" Like, I don't know, so again, for you, going from, like, the financial world into the entertainment industry, which has, like, a negative connotation to me, like, did you find that, or did you have to navigate around it?
I mean, I so while I was pursuing acting, I worked at a financial institution, and
Mm,
I took a lot of pride in my job at a financial institution because everyone around me that was my age, they're like, "Oh my god, you're a manager at a bank?" It's like, "You're 20." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, so it like that there was a lot of pride attached with that, which was, I think, partially also why I stayed for so long. That was really hard to kind of give up something that um that I felt other people valued really highly about me. Like, people were impressed by it, and I
mm,
didn't want to, like, leave and have them think lesser of me, if you will. Um, but on the other hand, I never felt that there was a negative connotation with working in the film industry. I mean, there was certainly people were like, "Oh, you're an actor? Which restaurant do you waiter at or, like, waitress at or serve at?" Um, I never worked in a restaurant, so I was like, "Well, that doesn't apply to me." But, I just, yeah, I don't know, I never really again, back to how I started the company, I didn't really think, I just did. So that never really crossed my mind that I was like, "Well, I'm entering an industry that might have, negative connotations." I think I just had the confidence in myself that that wouldn't be associated with me.
I
So,
like that because I know confidence is so important, but how do you, like, walk the line between confidence and cocky?
I mean, I think confidence for me I mean, sure, now we're doing a podcast and you're asking me about myself, so I'm gonna talk about it, but on the day to day, I'm not gonna talk about, my experiences in the industry or working at a bank or whatever it might be. I think the confidence is more of like a quiet thing, right? It's about you. It's confidence in yourself. It's not the confidence you're trying to project to other people. And I think that's the difference. If you're trying to be confident, you feel the need to project it to everybody and have them know that you're confident. If you're just confident, you don't need to tell anybody. You don't
Yeah.
talk about it. It's just a quiet confidence that you have in yourself,
Okay.
and that, like, people will sense it and feel it, but it's not something that you necessarily have to talk
Mm,
about.
I like that. And I heard a quote, confidence is silent and insecurity is loud.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. And when I think back to times when I was like really insecure and how I would try to overcompensate, it was
Mhm.
like, oh, I see. Yeah, I was only being loud because, but
Yeah.
again, we live and we learn. And going back to you being in the industry, so you started your career in Germany, right?
And just in, like, community theater and stuff like that, but yeah.
Oh, but then like the film industry that was in Vancouver, because what brought you to Vancouver to begin with?
My parents, wanted to immigrate. So my mom wanted to go to Australia, and my dad wanted to go to LA. And I guess they agreed Vancouver was a good happy medium. So yeah, we immigrated here, and like I mentioned before, my parents have a construction company, or a heating and plumbing company. So their company did the renovation for Chateau Whistler when it turned into a Fairmont hotel. Before, I think it was a Canadian Pacific or a Pan Pacific hotel. So their company did part of that reno. So that's sort of how we got our
That
foothold in
that's
Canada.
pretty good, because and for the longest time, I didn't know that Vancouver was actually like a hotspot for the entertainment industry. Like,
Oh yeah,
I always thought LA, granted, like I am American, so maybe that's just my American head. Like
yeah.
America is the only country that matters. But um yeah, because I mean, like why haven't you decided to like go back to Germany or LA? Like what makes Vancouver home for you and a good place for your business?
I think, well, in terms of working in LA, it just, with visas and whatnot, it's hard, and it's well, anywhere in the US really. It's hard to get in there. My younger sister wants to move to the States, and she's at the University of Hawaii right now. So she is there on, a student visa, and she got a bunch of scholarships, but she graduates in December of this, so 2025 December. And then after that, she needs to get a work permit. And then, there's a lot of sort of hoops you have to jump through if you're wanting to establish yourself in a new country.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of why Vancouver is better situated for what I want to do versus Germany, there's a stronger film industry in Vancouver, and we have closer proximity to the United States, where, a lot of the projects, specifically Vancouver projects, are American projects. Um, so it's nice that you kind of get to work with, the American side of things while still being in Canada. Um, Starting a business in Germany is like a whole other, they're very, very rigid, and there's lots of, steps to it. Here in Canada, I find that anyone can start a business, and much like how anyone can become an actor. If you want to become an actor, you sign up for an acting class, you get some headshots, and you can apply for some talent agencies if you want to. They might not sign you because you have no experience, but you can. There's nothing preventing you from doing it. In Germany, you can't just go and be an actor. You can't just wake up and be like, I'm going to act today. Like, you're not going to get signed to a talent agency unless you have a 4-year degree in acting. Like, it's a totally different process. And that's, I mean, I think part of what the reason why British actors and Australian actors do so well in North America is that they have such a strong emphasis on proper education for acting. Whereas here, really anyone can become an actor. You can take a 1 weekend workshop and sign up with a talent agency if you want to. Um, so I think the industry is just much more rigid in other places than it is in North America. And I think that's reflective in all industries, not just in the film industry, whether
Yeah.
it's starting a business, or, if you want to work at a restaurant, you need to go to school to work at a restaurant. You don't just go get a job at a restaurant. Like, you don't just apply to be a server. You need to go to school
Yeah.
to be a server. So it just it's different.
Yeah, it's and I don't know, like, better or worse, because I know, like, for me, I did go to school for journalism, and then my master's was, like in digital audience strategy, which is kind of like digital marketing. And I know I got an opportunity to do what is it like the work, like a work placement thing. And I
Mhm.
was talking to the people there because they had what I thought at the time was my dream job. I'm like, oh, so like, what did you study in school? And I think someone's like, oh, I studied art history. And I'm just like, you studied art history? Like, here I am trying to bust my butt to, like get a degree and like what I think I need to like do this and follow the steps. And then this person did
Yeah.
something completely different. I was just a little salty about that because it's like, but
No, that's fair. I think a lot
I
of people are
dedicated so
shocked to know that I have 0 education. I did not go to college or university. I am a high school graduate. I was on the honor roll, but I'm
much.
just a high school graduate. Um, and people were, like, stunned that I was, like, in a managerial position at a financial institution,
Wow,
and stunned that I'm a business owner and I never went to school for any of it, and it's working out well for me. So,
no, that's
it's,
good. Well, like you said earlier, hard work. Just work hard,
yeah,
do it. It sounded like you didn't take like no for an answer or, like you just kept persevering despite any obstacles. So I love that. And that's what I'm trying to learn now. Cause I was like, oh, like school is all you need. And it's like, well, no, it's not all you need. Like you need the talent and you need the hard work. So
I mean, I think it's a important foundation, like, retrospectively, I wish I had gone to school for, business management or accounting or something just because it would've made this so much easier. Now, I don't think I would be at, like, a better place or more successful had I gone to school, but I think the learning curve would have just been easier, and I wouldn't have made so many mistakes that probably were more expensive mistakes. Though I don't know if they would have been if they're
yeah.
more expensive than education would have been, but, I digress. I do think that education would have been beneficial to me in some capacity. Um, but at the end of the day, I think the journey that I had is part of what built my business to be what it is and, is part of who I am, and, um, like, I'm not ashamed that I didn't go to school. I'm proud of the fact that I was able to, have the business that I always wanted to have and built it up to what it is without an education, I think.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, at the end of the day, if you're willing to work hard and if you put in the hours and I think also if you have good ideas and confidence in yourself and you're creative, that, you know, that can be more important. I know so many people that went to school that do not use their degree or whatever they did for anything that they do.
Wow.
Like,
That's Yeah, it's like I think at first I was like, "Oh no, like I'm not using this degree that I dedicated so much time in." But
yeah,
yeah, I was just like, well, like I did learn skills and I guess I'm not using it because like I'm interviewing and like editing and I'm like, "Oh, that's what I learned like when I went to school." And
yeah,
I think kind of like the opposite of you. I'm like, "Well, I didn't need to go to school to learn how to do it." But to your point, I'm like, "Oh, I guess it did make it just a little bit easier for me to like have the vision and like to map it out because that's
yeah,
what I was doing in school." So yeah, I guess at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter like where you are in life or what exactly you're doing in life. Like we keep
yeah.
saying, work hard, make connections and go for it and you'll figure it out along the way. So
Yeah. I mean, I think my decision not to pursue post-secondary was very it was one specific moment I had, I went to a very small school and we had like one teacher that was like the head teacher for your grade. So if you needed anything within the school, you're supposed to go to this one teacher. And I had asked my drama teacher if she could write me I applied for a scholarship and part of it was that you needed like a referral letter from a teacher. Um, and I had asked her to write it, and my class teacher, like my homeroom teacher, if you will, had said, "No, no, no, I'll do it. I'll do it." And like was literally telling my drama teacher, like, "No, don't do it. I will do it." So my drama teacher was like, "All right, you do it." And then she missed the deadline and didn't do it. And I was so pissed that now I couldn't get the scholarship that I was just like, F this, I'm not gonna go to secondary. That was literally what that was the reason. I was like, I'm just gonna go get a job then, because like screw you. I was just so mad.
clue where that story was going. I thought she wrote a great thing and like
No. She just missed the deadline. And I was so angry that I was like, screw this. I'm not going to post secondary.
Oh my gosh. And
It was born out of anger.
yeah, so are you still angry with her? Have you forgiven? Like, what was that process like?
No,
Oh,
still angry. I mean, no, I'm not angry at her for not like, I mean, I'm not angry
yeah.
about not going to post secondary, but I definitely still don't think kindly of her.
Oh my gosh. And then my second question, so do you feel like everything happens for a reason? People say that, but I'm like, everything?
I
Mm,
mean, I don't know that everything happens for a reason. I think you create your own path, and I think your future is dictated by your actions and what
yeah.
you choose moment to moment.
Mm,
So I don't think that um, you know, you're going to be a successful actor because that's what's meant for you. If you're just going to sit on your butt and never take a class, it's probably not going to happen. Like you need to pursue it. So I don't think everything happens for a reason, but I think everything causes a chain reaction.
yeah. It's
That
like,
makes sense. So I
like,
guess kind of.
yeah. Well, because I also like to ask everyone, do you feel like you were destined to be your own boss or to own
Um,
something or
I don't know if I was destined to be my own boss. I know that I am happier being my own boss than if I had to work under somebody else. And I think that I was probably like well positioned to be my own boss because I had my parents to ask questions and
yeah.
rely on because that's what they did. And that's what their parents did. Right. So
Oh.
like my grandpa on my dad's side, he owned a gas station, like a bunch of gas stations, for example. And then um, everyone kind of always had an entrepreneurial spirit. So in that sense, I feel like I might be in like it was easier for me than maybe for someone who's only ever had family members that were employed and they're the first in their
Mhm.
family to pursue being self-employed. I think that's probably harder and also you're going to get more pushback. I got a lot of encouragement, right? So I think that does make a difference for sure.
Ooh, it kinda sucks because like, we can't, do any well, what am I trying to say? We don't get to choose the hand that we're dealt, but
100%.
again, we can choose how we're gonna play our hand, so,
Yeah. Like
yeah,
my sister is the first of our family other than my uncle to go to university.
and what is she studying?
Um, environmental, I want to say ecology, but I know
Oh.
that's wrong. I ask her every time. S- Something
Yeah.
environmental. I don't know.
No, it's all good, and I'm like, we'll just give her a round of applause quickly because
Yeah.
that's really cool and amazing, and I'm glad that she wanted to do that and just, like you said, had the opportunity and encouragement, so yeah.
Well, and then for her, it was really, I think the reason that she's there is she wanted to move. She's always wanted to move to the United States, and she wanted to specifically move to Hawaii. So for her, it was like, okay, I can either find an American that I marry, I could win the lottery and just move there. I can try to get a work permit, which is highly unlikely, or I can work my butt off at school.
Yeah.
So she went to school at Capilano University here in Vancouver, and then worked her butt off and took courses that maybe she didn't necessarily want to take because her goal was to move to Hawaii, not to go to
Wow.
university and pursue environmental ecology or whatever she's doing.
Oh my gosh,
So I
that's
think,
so
she worked extremely hard for it, but her dream was Hawaii and she was like, okay, how do I make this happen? And university was the way that
cool.
that was possible for her.
I love that, and I will say for anyone listening, like, I think going to school is a great way to kind of travel, and we said it before, power is knowledge. So, yeah, you get to travel, you get to gain knowledge, you can and I think getting a student visa is a little easier than other
Oh,
visas.
100%. Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely for anyone and, definitely look out for scholarships and things, like, you don't have to break the bank to go, but yeah, what I'm taking from this is don't let nothing stop your dreams. So thank you
Exactly. Just go for
for
it.
this. And yeah, I mean, we've already like said so much to people, but did you have any advice specifically for people who are entrepreneurs or wanting to be entrepreneurs?
I think you need to just start. I think
Mm,
a lot of people are like, once I have this degree, once I've saved this much money, once I've done this, or once I've practiced this many times, or once I've perfected this. I'm like, no, just do it.
hmm.
Don't make a website, go do it.
Yeah.
And then, learn on the go. I
hmm.
think, I mean, I do think it's harder now with, social media and whatnot that, or the internet in general, that there's more like tied back to you. So your past mistakes can kind of come back to haunt you. But I think at the end of the day, if you're a good person, you don't really need to stress about it. And I think learning on the go is fine.
Yeah.
If I think a lot of people are scared to start. And so they're making excuses saying, oh, I need to do this first. I need to do this first. I need to, accomplish this before I can do this. Um, or they're worried that people won't take them seriously because they don't, you know, they
Mm,
haven't done PBC. I mean, certainly when I decided to start my agency, I didn't advertise like high school graduate starts talent agency, please sign with me. I know what I'm doing, like you have to know how to
yeah.
market yourself and advertise yourself. But I think it's yeah, just start. Like if
Oh,
you have an idea, just do it.
oh, yeah,
Don't
I love
hesitate.
that.
Don't worry about saving money. Obviously, don't invest, your
Everything.
lifetime savings into something, but be creative. Do it in a way where it's not going to cost you money, where you can try it out and just see
Yeah.
where it goes. I mean, I I've had so many kind of like side hustles and side businesses to help support, what I'm doing now. And I remember I made one website. I think it was for when I was babysitting. I was like 11 years old. I'm like, I'm making, or like, it was like this really basic website that you could make. It was like the first time we had internet at school. I was like, I'm gonna make a website for my babysitting, and I had business cards, and I was ready.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then I was like, I've made a website. I'm gonna advertise that I can build websites for people. And I started making websites for people, and I earned money that way. I'd only ever made one website about myself babysitting, and all of a sudden I had someone that had like what was it? It was a daycare that wanted me to make a website for them, and I was like, "Sure, I can do that." They had no idea that I was 12 years old. It was all over email. Like, "Just
Oh,
go do it."
yeah, you're like really telling me like no excuses. And that's what I'm trying to tell myself
Yeah.
for this year. Like, no excuses, don't listen to anything. And like you said, just start. The only thing I would add to that is like, if you start and mess up, you can start over. Like, you can
Yeah.
always start over
I
and
mean,
you'll already have the
granted, if
knowledge.
I had made a website and it was horrible, I would not have charged the people for it. I was like, "I'm really sorry. I overestimated my ability. You
Mm,
should find someone that actually knows how to do this." But, I think again, really truly it comes back to confidence, and I can't tell you how to gain confidence or get confidence because I think I was just fortunate to have it like
mhm.
thrust upon me, if you
Mm,
will.
I
Um,
know. And
but yeah, I think just be confident in yourself and go for it.
yeah, I think you can gain confidence just by like spending time with yourself and getting rid of like negative energies, or if you always feel down around certain people, try not to hang out with them and go where you're
Yeah.
loved. I think that's a great way to build confidence, but also, like you said, doing something for a long time can gain confidence. And you've been in this industry for a number of years, but how have you seen it change over all these years?
I mean, I think a big change has just been the way you do things. Like the internet, for example, has been a game changer. I mean, when I started being an agent, we already had all the breakdown websites and
Mm.
um, we had, email and all that stuff. But I remember some of my first auditions, I got those by fax
Oh,
because there wasn't email yet. Like I didn't have an email address. My agent
oh
faxed me
god,
my audition sides and
that's
called me and
funny.
told me, "Hey, you have an audition tomorrow, 3 p.m. This is the address." And that like there was no cell phone. Oh, I got lost. Like you just you show up on time and here's your fax.
Wow.
So that's changed quite a bit. But I think trends in the industry changed. I remember I used to have black and white headshots. That was what you're supposed to have, no color. And then I remember when they changed the color, and so many people were so resistant because 'cause they're like, "It doesn't look professional." And now if you show up with black and white headshots, people are what are you doing? We need to know what color your eyes are and what color your hair is, and,
Mm.
so yeah, it just, I think trends change, a lot, and then, of course, streaming services have had a massive
Oh,
impact
yeah.
on the industry. Um, when the first streaming services started, I was already an agent, and I remember that shift, just the financial shift. You used to make so much more money for network television than with streaming services, and you used to make so much more money because projects were so much longer with, like, how filming has changed. Now you can whip out your iPhone and you can make, like, a
Mm. And
beautifully shot film. It's
yeah.
incredible how cameras have progressed and changed. Um, but, you used to do, like, if you were doing, like a Hallmark movie, for example, or like a TV movie, they'd film for like 6 weeks. Now it's like 10 days and they're done. It's crazy.
Whoa,
Like, it's
yeah.
so fast. So you could have, a small principal role where you have, I don't know, 12 lines or something, and you'd be on set for like 4 weeks. Now you're on set for 2 days with 12 lines, maybe
Oh,
1 day.
oh, 'cause you
So
get
it's
paid for just the 2 days instead of, like,
exactly, yeah, you get paid
oh,
daily
man.
unless you're a lead and you're contracted to,
Yeah.
the project or whatever it is. But, for most actors, if they have smaller roles, you're getting paid per day that you work or per week that you
Mhm.
work. So,
That's crazy, and it's funny, I was talking about this earlier because I noticed, like, I love Modern Family, and I think they had, like, 24 episodes in a season, and I
mhm,
think they were saying, like, the actors were getting, like, 250,000 per episode, and it's like, "Wait, that times 24 is how much?" And
yeah,
then now I love Abbott Elementary, but they only have, like, 12 episodes a season, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's half. Are they still getting paid per episode? And yeah,
yeah,
just to your
yeah.
point about
For the most
less
part, it's per
money.
episode. But also, I think like pay has changed so much. I mean,
Okay.
network television certainly paid more than a lot of the
Mm.
streaming services now do. I had someone who booked a series regular role on a streaming service, and it was paying 20,000 per episode, which is
Okay.
like network TV is like 65,000 per episode
And
for a
that's like the
streaming.
standard, like your
Yeah, I mean,
Canadian is not.
obviously, if you're a complete newbie, it might be a little bit lower, but, uh,
Okay.
yeah, it was just so when we got an offer for 20,000 per episode, I was like, "What?" So we tried to obviously negotiate higher, and we were able to, there was some wiggle room there, but,
Mm.
uh, yeah, I mean, the landscape has definitely changed. I feel like I'm doing 5 times the amount of work for, like, a quarter of the pay in the last, like, 10 years, for sure.
Wow.
Especially, like, after COVID, oh my god. With self-tapes, like, self-tapes have been the biggest change, I think, for how I do my job, because it used to be, I submit an actor, they get an audition, I tell the actor the audition information, and that's it. That was my job, unless they book the job and then I negotiate a contract or whatever.
Mm.
But now it's like I um I submit them for the role. Casting reaches out to me, "Hey, this person has an audition." Then I send the audition information to the actor. They self-tape, then they send the self-tape to me. 70% of the time I have to edit their tape because they've done
Mhm.
something wrong. They've put their slate at the beginning instead of at the end, or their lighting sucks, or whatever. Or I have to watch it. I have to tell them to retape. Then I have to upload that tape to the casting platform. Then I have to send it to casting, confirm with casting that they've received the tape. Like, it's a whole other process. So what used to take me like a minute and a half is now 20 minutes per audition.
Oh, per audition, because you have lots of
Yeah, so it just like the work volume has, like, exploded. I mean, it's a little better now, but I remember the, like, first 2 or 3 months, once self-tapes were for everyone, oh my god. I worked, like, I don't know, like 90 hours a week, it felt like. I mean, it wasn't actually that, but it was
Yeah.
insane, and casting was just sending self-tapes to everybody. I would have, like, 150 self-tapes a day. I was like, "How do you even process this?" And nobody knew how to do them. None of the actors knew how to do them. So I bought a backdrop and I bought a ring light and I made a tutorial.
Mhm.
I sent it to all the actors. I was like, "Here's a step by step," and then I, like, did a screen recording on my laptop of how to edit your self tape step by step. Like,
Mm.
all these things that actors never had to worry about, because now if you're acting, but you're also your own crew. You're kind of your own director. You need to make the call which like take is the best. That used to be used to just show up at an audition, do your thing, and casting would film it, and they'd have a reader there and they would decide this take is the best.
Mm.
And now it's you have to organize a reader, you have to organize a camera op, you have to have your own equipment that you have to purchase,
Ooh.
or otherwise you have to go pay to go use a studio, right? So like your expenses have gone up, but wages have gone down.
Mm.
Or not, but well, wages, like hourly wages haven't gone down, they've gone up,
Oh.
but just the amount of time you spend on a project has gone down. Because
Mm.
now also they try to get you in and out as quickly as possible. Like especially when we still had the mask mandate, they tried to get everyone in and out of set like as fast as possible so that there was less risk. So,
Wow.
and
That's crazy.
that's
Yeah.
been definitely the biggest change in like the last 5 years. It probably had more change than, the previous 20 years.
Oh my gosh. But you still love what you do, right? Because
I mean, it feels a lot
like,
less creative now. Like
oh.
I used to always go and visit actors on set. So if I had an actor that had a booking, I'd go on set. There's still some sets that don't want that.
Mhm.
They say it's because of COVID, obviously. That's not the reason anymore, but I think everyone kind of got in their head a little bit during COVID, and my workload is more so that now it's not really feasible to be able to go
Mm.
visit people on set. So I still do sometimes if I have someone that's on a project for like a very long time, they're there for the duration of the project, then I still try and make it out. But um, yeah, it's like once COVID hit, it kind of felt like all the fun parts of the job were gone because you couldn't
Aw.
do the in person, you couldn't socialize with anybody, you couldn't go visit sets, um and now that is coming back a little bit, but yeah, I mean I still love it. I mean my favorite part of being an agent is being there when an actor gets their first booking or their first big booking, because that like the excitement and the joy that's there is so infectious, and that's my favorite part.
Oh, yay. Well, I hope that you have many more coming in your future and like
Thank
just
you.
sending you good vibes only. And yeah, like you've given me so much encouragement, like through your story, like inspiration. So I'm like, no excuses, just start, go for it. But I just wanted to ask you one last question that I ask everyone, and I like to phrase it like, if you were to lose your voice tomorrow, what is the last thing you would want to be heard from you?
Oh man,
Yeah. I know it's kind of a big one, and it can
that
just
is
be
a
like
big one.
yeah, like something silly or, like just advice or a mantra that you have. Because I used to just say,
Yeah.
like just anything like open-ended because we talked about a
Yeah.
lot, but, like what's one thing you want people to take away
I
from
mean,
this
just do it and have fun. Really.
perfect.
I mean, I don't know, on the spot, that's like all I don't know. I think kind of I always just sort of go out and not think about it and do it. So I think that like it works for me. So that's my advice to everybody else. Just go out,
Yeah.
do it, remember to have fun, and don't do it if it doesn't serve you.
'Cause you're a
Mm.
glass boss. 'Cause you're a glass boss. Put your gloss on, get your boss on behind the glass.
Mwah.